So we're out doing a zig piece today with Alex, and after quite an uneventful start, implemented a few changes, dropped the zigs back a little bit, and after getting a few vicious liners, and this is the second one in quick succession. So hopefully we can get it in the net, and then we'll talk to you a little bit more about it, hopefully, once we land it. Proper active, like, for the time of year, they're proper moving about still. So we've just managed to land that fish. I'm not going to spend any time sort of putting it onto the mat and everything now. I'm just going to unhook it in the water, get the rod straight back out, and hopefully there's a chance for another one. So I'll ping it back out now, and then we'll show you what we've caught. We're down at Stanwick Lakes fisheries today on Mallard Lake. No sooner after Alex arriving, one of the rods was away with this little chap, one of the small stockies. Got a bit of a bigger one in the net as well, so we'll get that out in a second and show you. Just going to give you a brief rundown on how I go about my zig fishing in the winter and basically my approach to it. So yeah, we'll get this little chap back and we'll show you the other one. So shortly after that first bite, the mid rod pulled up tight and we were attached to this dumpy little common, mid to upper double I suppose. Fell to a short zig. So let's get this one back and I'll give you a run through of how I go about approaching my zig fishing in the winter, the areas I'm looking for and the depths that I like to fish as well. So the biggest thing in winter for me is, well, any time of year really, is the location, but more so in the winter because the fish are going to be a lot more tightly grouped up together. So getting that location right will ensure you have the best chance you can really of getting the bites that you're after. The way that I go about it is I look for areas that are sort of where the shallows meet the deep water, and if you can find some bigger weed beds as well around that, then that normally seems to be the one because they've got natural food at their doorstep. They haven't got to work for it. And yeah, so basically in regards to the depths and stuff like that, I normally fish sort of the bottom third. So if your lake's 8 foot deep, sort of fish like 2, 2.5, 3 normally. That's what I'm fishing today. So a lot of people think in the winter the fish are just sitting on the bottom, dormant, not doing anything, but that's definitely not the case. They normally sit, from my experience in the lakes that I fish, sort of 2 to 4 foot off the bottom, and basically they're still grouped up tightly together, but they do move around in packs, so there's always chance of a bite because they're not sitting dead still. Okay, there'll be the odd one sitting about doing nothing, but they are still fairly active. I've found as well, sort of the colder days can be a lot better as well, because obviously that decline in water temperature means that they're going to be moving around a little bit less, and maybe they'll be grouped up ever so slightly tighter together as well, which means, okay, the location side of it might be a little bit harder to track them down, but when you do finally find them, then you can have really good results. So once you have finally found that shoal you've been looking for, it's well worth exploring that area through future sessions as well. I've noticed personally, again, that wind direction doesn't make a massive difference on the lakes that I fish. So even if it's blowing freezing cold easterly and the fish that you've had previous sessions have been in that area, they'll probably still be there. So I don't think, in my opinion, that the wind direction makes a massive difference when you're zig fishing in the winter. So once you've got your location right, I'm sure the zigs will start producing for you. It's just a case of playing with the depths, finding what works best, and then you can explore that with the other rods as well. At the start of the session, fish 3 different depths, and then if you start getting bites, it's worth changing all 3 to that depth. That'll be a bite. So as you can see, we've definitely got the location right today. The rod's gone again, left-hand rod this time, so they're definitely moving about, and it was on a different depth zig to the other ones as well, so it might be worth changing them ones over now. We're getting a little bit later into the morning. They might start coming up off the deck that little bit further. But for now, we'll try and get it in the net, and hopefully we can show you it. So I literally just landed that fish, unclipped the zig to get another one back out there, and the left-hand rod's just dropped back completely. So we're attached to another angry carp. Feels a little bit better, this one. So the fish has just weeded me up. Just applying a gentle bit of pressure just to wait for him to kick free. The weed's not too bad out there, so we should be all right. Oh, there we go. Just kick in. Well, after a lot of gentle pressure, the fish has finally kicked itself free. I did actually have to slacken off for a second as well, but now we're back in contact with it now. So fingers crossed we can get it in the net. So I've finally managed to get all 3 rods back out on the zone. Now we're going to take a quick look at these 2 that we've got, well, one in the retainer here and one still in the net. We've got a lovely fully scaled here as well, so yeah, we'll have a look at that now. So it's coming up to midday now. Here's fish number 3. Lovely fully scaled, only sort of low double, but very, very pretty fish. So I'll get this one back, we'll get the other fish out, and then we'll have a closer look at my zig rigs and how I go about tying them. So I'm just going to give you a brief rundown of how I go about setting my zigs up. I've got a naked line tail rubber there, which ensures that it's got less chance of tangling. Obviously you might still occasionally get a tangle, but to be fair, rarely, as long as you trap the line as it hits the water. Onto that I've got a slick leg clip as well, so it's got no serrations on it. This means the lead's got a better chance of coming off, so it's literally just nicking it on. And then quick change swivel, anti-tangle sleeve, and then I've got 10-pound zig hook link with a red and black zig aligner with a size 8 wide gaped hook. And basically I've found this year in general red seems to be the go-in sort of colour, if you like, but I always put one out on a yellow one as well, and sometimes if things get really tricky I'll go all black, because sometimes like other people will always fish a bit of colour, so the black can give you a slight edge if you like. So yeah, that's basically my zig setup. I use a 3.5 ounce lead as well, so a fairly heavy lead, because I want to ensure that I do drop it on the take, which means the fish is going to rise higher in the water and less chance of getting weeded up. So I've just set my bobbins up in this example here of how I'd go about starting off on a lake, maybe beginning of the day, or even a new lake that I haven't fished before and I weren't 100% sure where the fish are. Basically I fish them sort of semi-slack, but enough so if you do get a bite, you still get the drop back effect. But then obviously you can fish for liners as well, which is what I don't see a lot of people doing. A lot of people will just go straight in bowstring tight lines and you won't know if there's any fish there because you're not going to get as good indication. So if you fish sort of semi-slack to begin with, just so you can fish for liners really, if you don't know where the fish are, and obviously you'll get a few liners and that'll be it. You can drop them back if you need to, or if you're not getting any at all, it might be worth just moving them around slightly. And then when you do locate them, that's when obviously you can pin them up nice and tight, and every beep will be a fish then near enough. Hey up. Just went to re-jerk. So I was just about to have a re-chuck because things have gone a little bit quiet and the rod's gone. We're attached to another carp. So I was just going to have a little rechuck on one of the rods because the swim went a little bit quiet, but as you saw, I literally went down to pick one of the rods up to reel it in, and off went the left-hand rod. So now that fish is in the net safely, it's unhooked, the zig's ready to go back out. Just going to give it a little dip in some feed stim XP just for a bit of boosted attraction. So we'll get it back out there and see if we can catch another one. So it's just after lunchtime now, probably a couple of hours left of the session, but managed to nick another one. Very pretty little mirror, probably low to mid double. Been quite unlucky with size today really, but we're getting bites in winter, so that's all that counts. But if you don't see me before I've finished my session, then this will be the last fish, but there's still time for another one, so you never know.